Perfect. Thank you. So, your identity, your access, your Swisscom world. This is our mission statement. Looking briefly at who's Swisscom. Swisscom is a group. I'm going to talk about Swisscom's business in the country of Switzerland. And there we are the largest provider of TV services, for example. We are a leading telco company. We have products in the gaming, entertainment domain, mobile. 5G is a big thing, bringing the network and computing to the edge. We provide broadband services, and there was a great announcement. 10 days ago, there was the first 50 gigabit pipe that was laid to a home, and to my knowledge, that's a first in the world, such speed outside of a laboratory. A few key figures: 1.5 million TV subscribers. We have 8 million identities or login accounts in the consumer domains, and the company has 19,000 employees. For this presentation, I'm going to focus purely on what we do in Switzerland and purely on what we do in the consumer market as such. So, AAM, Identity Access Management, a thrilling topic. When I started it 4 years ago, there was nothing. We didn't have a strategy or a vision. And of course, on day one, that's what I was tasked with. And here it is. We're leading Swisscom into a future in which users can be reliably identified and receive personal access. So basically, the company, but in particular AAM, we're subject to macro trends like security, privacy, but also personalization, and that drives what we are willing to do, what we need to do. And there are, of course, also the other trends, like, for example, the customer wants to access the product from any place at any time. It's got to be simple and fast. And as a telco company, our products were, available in many places from the very beginning of the history of the company. But the change is also, the TV is not longer in the living room. It might still be there, but people access the service from anywhere. They want to configure it from anywhere, and involvement of the product or the usage at any place, anytime. So when I started, step one was, of course, you start with a blank page and you make an assessment. And looking into it, give you an overview of the challenges, but also chances. I brought a brief video. Swisscom is operating in different languages. We have French, Italian, and German operations, but unfortunately not English. So the video is in German with some subtitles.
Aus der Telefonanbieterin Swisscom ist ein Technologieunternehmen mit vielen Geschäftsfeldern und Produkten geworden. Die Datensicherheit war dabei schon immer wichtig. Doch mit der Angebotsvielfalt wächst auch die Komplexität. Für den Kunden, weil es für seine Swisscom-Produkte einen separaten, passwortgeschützten Zugang gibt. Für die Swisscom, weil sie nur die einzelnen Verträge sieht und den Kunden nicht kennt. Mit Identity and Access Management, kurz IAM, soll den Kunden und der Swisscom das Leben erleichtert werden.
So, looking into it, it's no longer a blank page, it's a list of challenges. Most remarkably, because the product was at the beginning and going online, adding a login account, it came second. It happened naturally that the login account was kind of tied to the product. The company grew with acquisitions. That meant a second login brand was somehow acquired. It also meant we had startups, they grew bigger. We had paying customers for them, and suddenly have a new kind of domain, a new silo, and each of them creates new accounts and they're tied. So if I'm a customer, I'm happy with what I have. I purchase a holiday home and I want broadband there as well. But naturally, what would happen is a new login account is created to control my login, to control and access the service for my holiday home. Currently, we have 46 applications that are using Swisscom Login, as we call the brand of the IDs that we provide our customers. And the IDs are always used in conjunction with our products. So we're not selling them on the market as such. We're not an EID provider. Challenges with the coupling is any challenge we have, it's kind of a multiplication factor because we force the customer to have a second or even sometimes a third login, and we wanted to get rid of that. And then also in the past, what happens, each product house had certain requirements. They launched projects to evolve the logins as such, but they happen sequentially by different people, different teams. And with a company or a group of 19,000 employees, there was much brain power put into it, but it wasn't always aligned and pushing or pulling in the same direction. Also, the startup product, they got their customer a login account, but the CRM guys weren't interested. So when a user of a freemium product called up, the agent didn't see this person, this customer, and couldn't support. There was only the online sales channel available in case a customer liked the freemium product and wanted to upgrade to a subscription. So it's basically an opportunity that we did not use. How do you tackle this? How do you address this on such a scale? The way forward was, we said, we need to come up with a promise, deliver against this promise. So I set up kind of a small company within the group, and this company is responsible for anything that has to do with identity and access management. We are making sure it's secure, it meets the needs of all the products, it of course meets the needs of the user, and we promise to constantly evolve it and extend the product as such. We also said, okay, the user is going to be in the center. It should no longer be the contract and a user is attached to this contract, but it's the user in the core, and the user might have one or multiple contracts, or this person might just have the right to use a service which somebody else has purchased. The same as example from the business world, O365, which you can purchase for your small company or for your family, and then you can share the license. This is something we need to have. Then also, user centricity is key for personalization, data privacy. I think it's a must. And then last but not least, we need to provide a framework, and this framework needs to take care of complexity. You've seen how the company evolved, how large it became, and how many things we had to worry about. So besides having a good plan of how you merge your brands and evolve the product line in the AAM domain, we established a governance, and the governance helps us from the 46 products that are out there and potentially new ones which are acquired in the future, that the requirements come into us, and then we can look at them, address them. Maybe we have to have a prioritization discussion. The products out there, the 46 products, they don't always agree or have the same priorities, and that's our job to come up with a feasible solution for everyone. Once we have a new AAM functionality out there or a product component, we also need this governance to make sure that it's properly incorporated into TV, into email, into you name it. And we need those people to make a controlled rollout to the market. So it's a thrilling relationship to interact with the governance people and everyone on board. So on this long journey, what are the benefits we achieved? Of course, logic steps. We joined forces, merged the brands. It helped us to get rid of redundant applications, so we could free up good people and free up our budget to invest into new things. User experience was a key concern. There I have a few good examples. The registration form on day one was basically extended every time a new application needed a new field. Some of the services needed the birth date, other needed a shipping address, other needs a billing address for post payment. So this registration form grew longer and longer and longer, which is of course completely unacceptable if you want to launch freemium products and you're choosing a customer to try something. I mean, all we need is a first name, last name, an email address, then a password, a couple clicks, and you're done. So there was a massive mismatch that we solved. We now have this, what we call lightweight registration. And then depending on the need of the customer and the application, regulatory requirements, there's a so-called step-up process. So if I shift from a freemium product to something a bit more evolved, when there is subscription behind, hardware needs to be shipped. For example, we need a shipping address, so you go to the step-up process and you just add the attributes that are needed from a user perspective. Login experience, I think there was a cool approach at day one, but you could use your user ID, or you could even use your mobile phone as an alternative means to login. Really cool if you forget the password, right? However, the way it's done from a user experience perspective, it was a page with multiple tabs. And in a test, we found out that 70% of the people don't even recognize that there are multiple tabs, so they're just focused on the few fields. So we knew the new experience must be really, really simple. And therefore, we changed to a so-called two-step. On the first screen, you just see one field, and that's where you put in your email address, your username, your mobile phone number, anything where we can identify you. You click next, and then it's either the password, the code you got on your mobile, or nowadays biometry. Biometry for the apps, it's not a cool story. Of course, they wanted to do it. I mean, it's common sense. Everyone has it nowadays. But having a portfolio of apps at Swisscom, what I didn't want to happen is that every app develops it by themselves. Would have been, a waste of money, multiple invests. And for the user, it's kind of cumbersome. If you want to watch TV, you would have to do it that way. If you want to access your mails, it's different. If you want to control what's happening in your home, it's once again different. That's not the right approach. So we decided to develop a so-called software development kit, which is basically a module that now all the apps are incorporating. And once they do that, they're biometry enabled. And from a user perspective, it's always the same approach. You switch it on once and you can use it on any of the apps that Swisscom provides to the clients. Security, also the macro trend I mentioned, there were discussions, how secure is it? There were audits. And once I was tasked by the head of security, with a potential gap that we had in our perimeter defense on the portals. And then I figured out in the legacy, the apps, they had made sure that access was secure. The web portals had made the same. In the process for selling, they had made it the same. But the rules were always hard-coded into those portals or apps. And being in charge of AAM, you should actually control it and you should take responsibility. I mean, also requirements can change over time. So what we established is a centralized access management solution, and now it's configurable. We have objects and trees on top, and we can control the whole story as such. Moving on, I'm a bit conscious of time. The decoupling, that's really the coolest story. Once we had achieved the decoupling, the user can do anything with one login, 365-degree view, easy service activation. And best of it, we could get rid of all the workarounds and extra processes. So also from a support perspective, everything gets much more simple. But it also leads to opportunities. For example, in the TV domain, there was a rebranding of the TV, or actually the whole entertainment proposition, where now content from movie theaters, video on demand streaming, TV, cloud services, and so on are incorporated, sport and sport portals and statistics. You get to access anything once you're on the TV, but the challenge for us was, there was one way to distribute it to the TV in your living room and one way to distribute it on the web and one to the smartphone, once again hard-coded, but we already had most of the ingredients, like a login for the big screen on the TV, session control, access control. We put all those pieces together, and now we have a configurable experience. And for example, when I'm visiting someone, my parents, the nicest screen in the house is the TV, a big screen. I can just log in to my cloud and then show them the pictures from my family holiday of my kids, and that's something they really appreciate. Show off a bit, and then just log out, and they have their standard TV experience. That's something we put together by using the ingredients, the components that we made in a modular way, and that leads to new opportunities for Swisscom as a group. And the way this is presented to the client, just a few seconds of my video.
Coole Games, die interessanteste News, unzählige Filme und Serien und der neueste Kino-Blockbuster. All das gespürt, gereiht für große Emotionen.
So we've solved the root cause, which was the multiplication of AAM domains, the coupling of the products to certain login accounts, and we can deliver the customer benefits. So we have a customer-centric experience, which is a great achievement. But I also must say it's been a great step forward, but there are many more steps to be made. And I'd also look into, the ecosystems of a user or the product evolvements that will keep us busy in the future. Apologies for that. Just the presentation. Here we go.
Auch unsere Produkte existieren in einem Ökosystem, aber viele Systeme sind nur bedingt kompatibel. Bundles und zunehmende Individualisierung generieren immer mehr Abhängigkeiten. Auch unterschiedliche Datenformate, regulatorische Vorgaben und andere Faktoren erhöhen die Komplexität. Nehmen wir Tom als Beispiel. Er zieht in eine WG. Dafür schließt er mit seinem Account das Telefonie- und Internet-Abo in One Home ab, das er und seine Mitbewohner abwechselnd zahlen. Weil er dafür Rabatt erhält, behält Tom jedoch das Mobile-Abo des
So, looking at that, you see how the ecosystem evolves. People living in shared apartments, or even families, which can be large or smaller, kids moving to the university. I mean, there are opportunities everywhere. And when I look back, when I moved out at my parents' place many years ago, I didn't bring with me any contract, any relationship with a company. I just lost everything. And I looked at the market, and in a competitive market, I went to a new company for telco services, but also for insurance contract and so on. And I think this is a great opportunity. If, in the example like Tom, a person moving out, if this person can take their login account with him and extend the usage of it to the new living conditions, or in the insurance industry, add the first home insurance once they move out, as the first car insurance, it's great. The company knows something about the person already, where they come from, and they have a relationship, and that's something to leverage in the market, and specifically being in a market like Western Europe, which is in most industries very competitive and saturated. I think this can give you a real head start. So I'm conscious of time. I'm through with the presentation. I would like to hand back to the moderator. Not sure if we have time for one or two questions.